Yep. Welcome back, everybody. We are joined by a special guest, Moley. He is on air and he is part of the podcast moving forward. Great to have you, Moley. How are you, mate?
Yeah, doing well, guys, and it's a real pleasure to be here. I made the odd guest appearance last year, and hopefully we can be regulars and onwards and upwards.
Good stuff.
That's exactly right. Now, round 5 done and dusted. But before we get into it, just want to give a massive shout out to all our sponsors who make this possible. Create, Gripsocks, Energy Pro, and in particular, High Caliber Racing, a frequent acquisition for us here at Nostradamus. They actually have a syndication announcement where there is share opportunities involved in a brand new racehorse at the Magic Millions for only $400 a share. It's a $40 a month upkeep fee. So if anyone is interested, make sure you reach out to them at High Caliber Racing or DM us for more info. Now, guys, round 5. Another round of upsets, another round of horrendous tipping, I know for myself. I'm not sure how you went, Molly, but far out. How do you pick some of these games?
Well, guys, I'm averaging about 3 wins a week. So I Chase Bet Account, who my bookie of choice, is taking a battering, let me tell you.
You're not the only one, I bet you.
I think Dicko got 3, and I don't know, I might have got 2. I don't know, it wasn't good.
And the worrying thing is it's the 50-50 games I don't worry about, like Titans, Dolphins. I always knew whichever team I picked there I get wrong. But, Penrith, I mean, I just tip Penrith every week. So I'm 1 from 5 there. The Storm last week, well, they won this week, but the previous week, the Dragons, like who would have picked that? Like it's just crazy.
No one.
Yeah. Look, at least you're not a Penrith fan. That's all I can say.
Oh, you poor thing, mate.
Fun.
You poor thing.
Yeah, poor thing. 4 premierships. So meanwhile, I'm staring at a 4-peat poster above me. Dear, don't want to rub it in. All right, let's wrap up the games. So Thursday night footy, Raiders versus Sharks, 24-20 to the Raiders. Funnily enough, I actually was off to a flyer, 1 from 1. All downhill from there, though. What did you make of the game, Dicko? Because Raiders had a sin bin as well.
Yeah, I thought it was a good game of footy, actually. It was close, tough. I thought both forward packs belted each other into submission, and Raiders just came up with a really big play right at the end there.
Yeah, that was exciting.
Win. And and they defended really well, actually, as you said, with that sin bin.
Yeah.
A lot of times you'll see points leaked, but they were managed to sort of stay in the game there.
Yeah, a couple of rough calls and obviously head high tackle, and we will get on to the sin bin saga very shortly. But Molly, what did you make of this one? Is it a case of where are the Sharks at? Like, are they top 4 contenders? Because I thought they were going to challenge for a title this year.
Yeah, I agree, and particularly with Aidan Fanua-Blake coming on board, I thought he would be the X factor, the missing ingredient. But look, guys, for 79 minutes, I thought Cronulla were going to win that game, but I also thought that Canberra were the better team. It was one of those bizarre games, and we mentioned the sin bin, and the bloke who went to the sin bin, Hudson Young, ended up being the hero. So it was just one of those very strange games of football, but certainly a really enjoyable game to watch, particularly if you're a Raiders fan, and to see Ricky jumping up and down and hugging and kissing everyone on the sideline. He's a good mate of mine, Ricky, and he's a very good winner. Not such a good loser, I got to admit, but he loved every minute of it, and so did the crowd, and it was great sporting theatre, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah, it was brilliant to watch.
I actually think we need to start putting the blowtorch on the Sharks. I've been sort of tossing this up for a little bit, but I mean, do they have it in them to take the next step? And from what I've seen this year, I don't know. I don't know what you guys are like, but I don't know whether they've got the ability to be able to take it and lift the title at the end of the season. I don't know whether they can get better than what they are.
Yeah. Well, it's very interesting. I mean, if you have a look at the ladder as it is now, the Sharks are in 10th place, Panthers are in 15th, and Roosters are in 16th. They're 3 of the top 4 sides from last year.
Well, how have they improved over the last 3 years, the Sharks? Has their game evolved? Have they got better?
Isn't it interesting how their game hasn't really sort of gone to that next level, but their squad seems to, on paper, have gotten
The
better.
squad's a better
So,
squad than what it was 3 years ago. But
That's
what
right.
I'm
You
saying.
you look at them on paper, and it's a very strong side. I was very confident they would get Canberra, even though Canberra on a night game, although admittedly it's not the middle of winter when they really get in teams' heads with the cold down there. But
yes.
yeah, I expected them to do a job on them. You know, they've just got pace everywhere. People used to say Will Kennedy was the weak link. Well, he's playing out of his skin, and he was
Yeah,
probably as good as
true.
anyone in a beaten team last weekend. And yeah, there are very few weaknesses. And as I said before, Fanua Blake, he's as good as any front rower
Yeah.
going around. But Canberra handled him well, and the Raiders definitely won the forward battle, and that's why, as I said, it looked like the better team was going to get beat.
Yeah. Look, I think honestly, like, it comes down to the whole Nico Hines situation. He just needs to step up, and if he doesn't step up, the Sharks aren't going to do any better. It's as simple as that. I think Trindle's maybe trying. There was a couple of comments made after the game that Trindle might be trying to do a little bit too much and take his role and thunder away a little bit and sort of take over. But in my opinion, it's up to Hines to step up, not the other way around, because he doesn't even look like he wants his hands on the footy. I don't know what you guys think of that current situation.
I'm not sure they have. I don't know whether Fitzgibbons really decided how he wants to go about the 6 and the 7. I don't know. Like, it seems like they're just sort of not sure who's the halfback, who's not the halfback. And until they figure that out, and until one of them becomes like really dominant, I don't know. As I said, I don't know where they can go. I don't think they've got another level to go to.
Yeah, it's almost like Fitzy's sort of giving them both free reign and just sort of let it play out, as opposed to giving them definitive roles to make the structure of the team better.
Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a watch. As I said, so I'm putting the blowtorch on them. They're a watch for a few weeks, because if they don't come up with some consistent results, I think you're going to have to start asking questions about where they're going to go, where their future is sort of the team.
Well, same questions for Penrith. Let's get stuck into Friday night footy. Where on earth are they heading? Cowboys 22, Penrith 18. Look, I just want to give a massive shout out to the Cowboys and Todd Payton. His job was dead set gone 2 weeks ago, and he's probably given himself another 2-year contract as a result of the last 2 weeks. And it's a credit to the players for not turning up their toes. I think Jake Clifford's been a massive difference for the side. Unfortunately, Duffy's just not ready for first grade, so it seemed. On the back of that, Taumalolo comes back in just from a presence point of view. But a lot of these younger players, like Jackson Purdue, has been fantastic for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I had him in my team of the week. I thought he was
excellent.
good as any centre going around, and he's still young. And yeah, with Clifford giving him good service, drink water coming into the back line, they suddenly look a very dangerous and a very good team. Again, I gave them no chance at Penrith, but they did the job. And I posed the question yesterday: Could Penrith miss the 8? I mean, it would have been unthinkable, a month
I like
ago,
it.
particularly after
No, you're
Vegas. But I saw a funny little thing yesterday on Facebook. It had teams that have won in Australia this year, and there were 16. And then another column, teams that have not won in Australia this year, and there was one, and it was poor old Penrith.
Yeah. Look, it's a bit of a double-edged sword, isn't it? They're capable of winning games and going on a run, but it's kind of like, when's it going to happen? All of a sudden now they're 1-4, and their backs are against the wall. Previous times gone by, going into Origin, like, they're going to have no Nathan Cleary, no Isaiah Yeo, a pretty tough period for them. No Dylan Edwards for that matter, and you've seen the difference that he's made being out of the side. I'm keen to see what sort of happens this weekend.
They should be 0-5. They should be 0-5.
Yeah, they shouldn't have won that game in Vegas.
They shouldn't have won that game.
Yeah.
And they don't have. I'll describe it like they don't have that air of invincibility anymore. when
Yeah.
teams go onto the field. There's not that. Oh, yeah, how are we going to beat this team? There's not that. The Cowboys came on the weekend with a specific plan. They belted them. They bashed them, right? And they put pressure on them. And they don't have that Fisher Harris. They don't have that, real X factor up front, the big dogs anymore. They've got the workhorses in the Lindsey Smiths and the Liam Henrys, but you're not fearful of them and intimidated. And that's and then if Cleary doesn't come up with it, there's no Jerome Luai. There's no one coming up with it, secondly. So
Exactly. There's a lot more pressure on Cleary than ever, and he's a marked man every week now. In the past, they'd have to keep one eye on him and one eye on Luai. Well, now it's all on him. Young Jack Pole's a good player, but not in the same class. And Cleary, I feel for him. And let's not forget he's been carrying injury after injury, and now he's got Origin coming up. So. It's going to be a tough time for Penrith, and it's going to be fascinating to see if they can dig themselves out of this hole.
Yeah, I agree. It's a watch. It's definitely a watch.
Sadly for Jack Cole, he's now got the HIA 11-day stand down. That's going to pave the way for one of two players. It's either going to be Blaze Talangi or Brad Schneider. And I would say that arguably Penrith's best football this season was when Nathan Cleary went down injured and Blaze Talangi came in and took that spot. And I think Blaze Talangi has the elements of uncertainty for defence like Jerome Luai did, very off-the-cuff type player that may suit and complement Cleary's role. But will he get picked this weekend? I don't know. I don't know which way Ivan Cleary's going to go. To be honest, I think Dane Laurie's actually sort of killed a bit of the attack. And quite frankly, I mean, Dicko alluded to, we should be 0-5. I think the positive for the Panthers is they haven't been blown away any week and they're playing really, really poorly. And they arguably could have won almost every game. I mean, the weekend gone by, Casey McLean just has to pass the ball and they win the game. Or Cleary at least has a kick from the sideline. How you've got a 2v1 and then Drinkwater slips over and ankle taps him. Like
it's a simple draw and pass, isn't it? Really?
Oh, it's just Tom Jenkins would be ripping his hair out. But anyway, enough about that. Let's just see.
Well done to the Cowboys because we've got to give them more credit than what we sort of have. They were excellent.
And they play the Rabbits this weekend, who are depleted, and they could be 3-3 after
Todd Payton was going to get the arse. Yeah.
Now the team they're playing, the Rabbitohs. How good was that performance on Friday night from the Rabbitohs? It was sensational. How they came back from having 3 hamstring injuries and to both of their halves with bugger all statistics in their favour. They did unbelievably well to win that fixture. How did you see that game, Moley? Obviously, high completion rate helps, but yeah, was that a testament to the Rabbitohs' character of this season and the Wayne Bennett effect?
Yeah, definitely. And I think I've been saying for the last month, like Wayne has been saying, Latrell's my fullback. While Latrell was out injured, I've been saying you just can't move Jai Gray. He's the form player of the comp, as the Dally M shows, and I know he wasn't listening to me, Wayne, but obviously common sense came through. And Latrell played pretty well in the centres. It's a bit of a sore point with the Roosters because that magical pass of his has been shown to be definitely forward. That one won the game to Isaiah Tass, I think it was. But Roosters fans, I think it's another chapter to the Book of Feuds because they're not going to forget that in a hurry. But full marks to South. I just thought they were great. Kaloa Matange was great. Their forwards all stood up. I'm a real Tallis Duncan fan. I think he brings them great energy. The little hooker Mazalumas, I thought it was probably his best game. I wasn't sure if he was the answer, Damien Cook, but he's playing well. So yeah, things are looking good for the Bunnies.
I think the Wayne Bennett effect is summed up in that Lockie Hubner. I mean, how good's he going?
Yeah,
and he was a bit part player at the Dolphins. Comes to the Rabbitohs, and he's probably been them with Kaloa Matangi, their most consistent forward over the first sort of 5 weeks. So
Yeah.
It's just
He's always up there in kick pressure.
and the 1%ers, mate. It's just the 1%ers. Bennett just makes you believe that you're good enough to do them, and then you just grow a leg.
Yeah, they may not. And to be honest, I don't think they've been the better side as such, apart from the first half against Penrith, where they absolutely annihilated them. They've probably been on the back foot in every single game, and
It's been a
somehow come
scrap
up with a
every
result.
game. Yeah, it's been a scrap every game, and they've come up with a win. So
And
they're
good on 'em.
going okay.
Speaking of scrappy, how good for Parramatta Eels fans. Saturday, they beat the Dragons 23-22. Obviously, a great news story for Zach Lomax, and to be fair, for Clint Gutherson, who was by far the Dragons' best player on the day. Massive, I guess, relief for Parramatta players, staff, supporters, everyone around the club. And I don't think anyone was expecting this one either.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, that was another one I missed.
Yep. Another one through to the keeper, another tip wrong.
I don't really know whether we have to go into a lot to sum this one up. I didn't think it was the greatest spectacle. It was close. That was sort of all it had going for it. The Dragons, again, if they're going to go anywhere this season, these are games they've got to put away, and they sort of failed to do it.
Wasn't it bizarre that they've been the better side in most of their games, like all season, and the only game they won was against the Storm. And they lost against all the other average sides, or somewhat average sides that most people would have thought they would have destroyed. But anyway, moving on, two sort of convincing results here for both the Brisbane teams in the next two games. Dolphins beat the Titans, who are really, really disappointing, the Titans, after showing some positive signs. I don't think Brimson's a 5'8".
Well, where's he going to play?
I don't know, but I just think 5'8" isn't his jam.
Well, I was at the Broncos game, so I actually didn't see this Dolphins-Titans game. I saw it on the score at the pub, actually, and it was 28-0 to the Dolphins. I couldn't believe what I saw. So I sort of don't know. The Titans, I tipped the Titans. I don't know what happened, to be honest with you. Well, and it's a home game for them.
They played 4 games. They've had a bye. And in my opinion, it's been Jaden Campbell trying to do as much as possible without overdoing it. And Brimson, apart from he did a little grubber kick and regather in the game on the weekend, and sort of had 2 tries out of nothing. One was sort of a drop ball that he ran length of the field. Other than that, he's sort of been MIA for the side, and Keeney's injury obviously hasn't helped. Who would have thought that Kieran Foran might be that missing piece that they potentially need? If he comes back, or when he comes back, does Brimson go back to fullback?
Well, the other thing too is that where are we, or where are they with Fafita? Like, what's happening there? The bloke's taken up $1 million plus in your salary cap, and he's sitting on the bench playing. How many minutes is he playing? 30 minutes?
Well, when the chips were down, Dizzy took him off with 15 minutes to go when they were still in the match.
Yeah, and they needed points badly. And one thing about him, he can score you a try, even if it's just barging over from dummy half. But yeah, I had him to score a try, and so I kept looking for him, and I couldn't find him. Yes, so yeah. MIA is a good way to describe it. As for Brimson, I rate him as a player, but yeah, he's been a bit disappointing. I think maybe move him the fullback. He's got the pace, he's got the acceleration. He can beat a tackle. Young De Groot's a good young prospect, but I'd keep Brimson at fullback. Maybe make De Groot number 14. He can fill a few holes and see what happens. But Desi's got to shake them up, because they've just been a disappointment for a team that I thought at the start of the year would make the 8. I just like the look of them. Yeah. They play good, attractive, attacking football. I reckon across the park, they're the quickest team in the league. They're missing Alphonse on the wing at the moment, and that obviously is a lot of pace gone, but still a lot of speed in that team. And Jaden Campbell, he's going to be a superstar. He is perhaps, as you alluded to, overplaying his hand a little bit, but I think he feels he has to, because no one else is doing anything.
Yeah, and they got no Tino this coming week too, so good luck.
Don't even let's just save that discussion for in about 10 or 15.
Dear. Now the Broncos, to be honest, How they went in at half time ahead is baffling. Although credit where credit's due, the Broncos this year, the Michael Maguire effect is in full swing.
Mm.
Previous Bronco teams would have probably definitely overplayed their hand there. And another quite measured performance by Reece Walsh.
Again, I'll say it, and I said this to a couple of my mates today. I didn't feel at any stage. I was at the game, so I didn't feel at any stage, even though, as you said, they were down and they were lucky to go in front at half time. I didn't feel at any stage concerned that they weren't going to win. I don't really think, to be honest with you, that they got out of about second or third gear. I think they just did enough.
Yeah, which is scary for opposition because even statistically they were so even. In fact, more in Tigers' favour.
Madge won't be happy with 24 points and a couple of the tries that were conceded, but all in all, I think, again, as you said, very measured performance by Reece Walsh. Working, I feel, on a different side of his game, which is really good to see, actually. He's put the flair away and sort of realised that he may be a little bit more valuable to the team with good defensive organisation and less errors. So because there's plenty of strike all over the field, I thought Xavier Willison probably had his best game for the Broncos. Came on and really gave added punch. I thought the Terrell May Payne Haas confrontation was a bit of a fizzler.
Yeah, wasn't it?
Yeah, I even thought Payne was a bit down on what he normally would produce, although he still ran for over 100 metres.
Maguire was saying after the game that Payne's played extended minutes the last few fixtures and wanted to give Paddy a go.
Yeah, they chop and change them. So, again, and everyone's, the Adam Reynolds non-hamstring now, it was confirmed yesterday, so he'll play this week. Everyone concerned about what the Broncos, but this is exactly why they bought Ben Hunt. It was seamless out on the field when I was watching. Reynolds goes off, Hunt just moves to 7. Everything revolves around him. It was a seamless transition. Walters came on, played 5'8", and it was just almost looked like poetry in motion. It was just no one missed a beat, So I think as a supporter, they've got a lot of gears to go to, I reckon. I don't think they've really scratched the surface of their attack, which is sort of concerning for the rest of the comp, considering they've almost put up 50 twice against teams.
Yeah.
And they're only get better defensively.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're looking at a top 4 team for sure. If they play to their potential and if Origin doesn't knock them around too much. But as always, they're one of the teams that feel Origin more than most with all their Queenslanders. So that could be a problem. But I don't think Hunt's playing Origin anymore, is he? Or probably won't get picked. And
this is interesting. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure about the Hunt thing. I think he's going to make himself available, but I don't know whether you're right. I don't know whether they'll pick him. We may move past him, Queensland. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Now Seagulls 24, Storm 48. To be honest, this scoreline kind of flatters Manly a little bit. Melbourne absolutely poleaxed them, in my opinion, and very, very weird tactics from Manly as opposed to previous weeks. I thought, and I don't think it's got anything to do with Tom Travojevic, and I think the DCE saga's been played down a fair bit, but I think we finally saw it take its toll a little bit on the weekend.
I think so.
Nothing was said in the press conference, but they looked flat as a tack. Mind you, it was 9 line breaks each, but I don't know. I mean, statistically, it looks relatively even, but watching the game, it was just Melbourne way too much class. Manly relied on individuals rather than playing as a team, and that's what concerned me a little bit. It wasn't cohesive. Tolu Kola, if it wasn't for his couple of moments of brilliance,
I think it was he.
They would have done absolutely sweet FA. And Stefano finally decided to show up for a game.
Yeah, the opening try, and I don't think a hand touched him, which was a worrying sign. As soon as he strolled over, I thought, this is going to be easy for Melbourne, and that's the way it turned out. And guys, I don't know if you're aware, but I found this stat. Actually, I've got to give credit to Fox. They put it up, but every time Melbourne's lost in the last 3 seasons, they've scored at least 38 points
Oh,
the
I
next
saw
week,
that. Yeah,
which
that's
is
insane.
which is just amazing, and it's just a testament to what I believe, that Bellamy is just head and shoulders above every other coach in the game. You can have your Wayne Bennett's and your Ivan Clearys, but Bennett. Bellamy, rather, I think they're scared of him. They lose one game, the shit
Oh, they
hits the
would be.
fan. They lose
Yeah,
2
yeah, yeah.
games and he'll just go berserk. So
Yeah.
they come out the following week. He obviously flogs them after a loss, and they respond. So that takes a special team and a special coach, and to do it at Brookie, which Fortress Brookvale, it's always hard to win, but was never in doubt. And as you guys said, the score really flattered Manly. I think they scored a couple of late tries to make it look not as bad as it was, because it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, very bad.
Yeah.
Bulldogs Knights 20-0 Bulldogs. Dominant performance really from start to finish, but the sin bin I thought hampered some momentum that the Knights had at times.
I actually want to give credit to the Knights here, Diz, because
Yeah,
I know it looks pretty ordinary, 20-0, they lost, but they lose the front rower running out onto the field.
yes,
They lose the winger, and we all know that with the game and the HIAs, you don't really have a winger on the bench. So
No.
you lose a winger, I think, in the second tackle of the game. So he
Yeah,
doesn't.
it was, yeah,
He's
he was out in
gone.
the first minute.
And then Hetherington, I think, came on the field, and then he was gone 5 minutes later. So they were down to
Saifidi hurt his calf in the running onto the field.
yeah. And for 65 minutes, the Knights were probably still in the game. I don't think they really looked like they were going to score, but on the scoreboard, they were still in the game.
Yeah,
Yeah, their defence was good, no doubt.
Yeah.
But as far as attack, I thought they were lucky to score 0. They just never threaten the line. They've got real problems in the halves, and they need Dylan Brown now, don't they?
Well, it just revolves around Kalen Ponga, doesn't it? If he's well curtailed,
he's been
they've got
quiet
no
the
avenue
last
to
2
try on.
weeks. And do you think that's, and this is a question for you guys. Do you think it's a situation where Ponga has no choice and he has to just step up and get it done? Or is Adam O'Brien trying to give the rest of the squad some form of role to play? Because it almost looked like the opportunity was there for Kalen and he purposely didn't go there to maybe interrupt the flow of others, like some Fletcher Sharp brilliance, some potential, Cogger actually controlling part of the kicking game. I don't know, because there was opportunities. The Bulldogs defended a few sets of 6 on their line, and previous weeks, first 2-3 weeks of the season, Ponga would get his hands on the ball, 2 or 3 tackles of that set, run it, have a try assist, something. But he just didn't have that same structural,
I get what you're
know what I
saying.
mean?
I don't know, when you get a defensive line that rushes up like the Bulldogs are. I think they've got the quickest line speed in the competition, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how they're onside personally. I mean, it's very frustrating watching it, but I just don't know whether you get the space. Well, you don't get the space as the fullback, right? So I think that he falls victim to that a little bit. Like when they're playing front foot footy, he's elite, but it's
Yes.
like any playmaker and any great player. The Clearys even,
Yeah.
when you're getting dominated physically, you're a passenger really. You're not going to be able to create off the back foot.
Yeah, I think we've got to give credit to the Canterbury defence, don't we? I mean, it's been
Yeah.
good all season. That's why they're 5-0, and I think you nailed it there. Ponga needs time and space. When he gets it, he's probably the most dangerous player in the comp, but he
Yep.
just never managed to find any open space, and they were swamping him. So credit to Canterbury, they knew what they had to do. I mean, you don't have to be a genius to work out. You shut down Ponga, you shut down the Knights, and that's what happened.
Yeah. Now, before we get into round 6, guys, the sin bin saga. Now, I honestly
do we have
don't know
to, really?
what's going on here. We don't have to dwell on this for too long, but Des Hasler's literally come out and said it spoils the game. and he's
Well,
hit the nail on the head.
He's not wrong.
Benji Marshall didn't want to comment. He literally had nothing to say after his press conference.
Okay, so
Yeah, it's
Hudson Young,
Yeah,
Brendan Piakura, Jordan Ricky from the week before, Corey Waddell on the weekend, and there was another one I can't remember off the top of my head quickly. What are the difference between those 3 tackles?
Well,
Because
let me
every outcome of those 3 tackles was a different outcome.
let me add
All
another
those
one
4
into the
tackles.
mix. Right, they've got this crackdown. Corey Waddell is now suspended for 2 matches, and he wasn't even sin binned.
That's exactly right, mate. Reed Marnie was the
Yeah.
other one the other week. Contact to the head, nothing. Like,
Yeah, I
what?
thought
So-
Waddell's was the worst of the lot. I thought that was almost a send-off, and
Yeah.
he stayed on the field. So, you know, fans, commentators, players, coaches, all we want is consistency, and we're not getting it. And these crackdowns just seem to make things worse.
So you can't have consistency if there is not the same person in the bunker. Now, Moley, can you tell me why the same person does not sit in the bunker every match? It's the bunker. You're just sitting there. It's not like you're fatigued.
Yeah, it's a good question, isn't it? You know, maybe Graham Annesley, who's the one who has to face all the bullets on Monday morning, or used to when he had his weekly press conference, which has now been canned. I mean, I can sit and watch 8 games, and yeah, I'm a little bit tired by the end of it all, but you know, at least I'm judging players, you know, consistently for my team of the week and this sort of thing. And yeah, it's not that hard. Drink a Red Bull or something. Maybe we can get Red Bull as a sponsor.
Especially if you're getting paid for it.
Exactly.
But at least
paid
then
pretty
you're
well.
getting and at least then you're getting consistency of decisions, right? If you've got the same person, because I'm starting, although I am very critical of match officials, I'm starting to feel very sorry for referees because it must. You put yourself in their shoes. It must be horrendous trying to officiate this stuff, you know. And now what we're doing is we're not seeing it live, and then the bunker's reviewing it, and we're going 30 meters downfield, and then we're bringing it back to an incident, and then sin bin and the bloke 4 tackles ago, because are we? We're going to end up like rugby union. Let's face it. We're going to end up going back 100 meters to find foul play. Like, we're trying to find incidents in the game. I don't. We're not letting the players decide it. This is my big issue: is the players aren't deciding games. The officials are deciding it by sin binning players that shouldn't be sin binned. Or, you know, I'm happy with the Corey Waddell getting 3 weeks. You know, it was a bad one, but why didn't the team that he did it to on the weekend, why don't they get
Isaac Tungo's head high sin bin to Corey Waddell? Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, let's be real here.
But again, this is different bunker officials for each game. So how can you have a level of consistency from the bunker, which they're the ones who review the incident?
It was almost like that was one of the first games. So let's have a crackdown. Oh shit, we got a bit of backlash here because that was a bit soft. And then it's just whatever.
I'd even say Hudson Young's was soft, mate. He was moving backwards. Like, how can you say it's direct?
No, they were all soft. Earlier in the week, they were soft.
But every tackle is forceful in the game. Does any bloke tackle another bloke soft? Because if there is, why is he playing in the NRL? Like, everything's forceful.
And you look at a lot of these head-high tackles, they're done at waist level because one guy comes in and tackles the guy, he's falling, and another guy just happens to have his shoulder or his arm there, and it's virtually the head hitting the arm, not the other way around.
Yeah, great point. Great point. That I don't know where we're going. I really don't. You watch. We'll have this for 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden, come magic round, it'll be nothing again, and there'll be blokes concussed and this, and then let's do a crackdown in round 25. You know, they've just got no idea. It's becoming frustrating.
Yeah, and the other thing we got to mention here too, the players have got to take some of the blame because they're not stupid. The players, they know how to take a dive and hold the back of their neck or hold their eye or their head, and you know they know they'll get a penalty. I mean, the crusher, he drives me crazy. You know, a player just grabs the back of his neck, he gets a penalty. Yeah, and that could decide the grand final. And the refs in the bunker are just falling for it every time. And you're not going to tell me all these crushes are intentional. Like, it's just 2 big men coming together, a third man coming in, player falling down. his neck gets bent a little bit. I never saw in the 70s, 80s, or 90s a player hold his neck. Now we see one every set of 6. It drives me crazy.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
It's becoming
round 6, guys. Round 6. Let's get stuck into it. Thursday night footy, Dolphins versus Panthers. Now, this one is not as straightforward as it seems.
Yes, it is.
Is Penrith just going to bounce back here? Like, can they lose another one?
Oh, don't know.
Well, we've been saying since Vegas that they were going to win this one. They were going to win that one. I like the Dolphins as a football team. I reckon they've got a lot of talent. Their back line is superb. Herbie's a great player. Bostock goes well. The Hammer seems to have found his confidence again. They're going to test Penrith. And if Penrith aren't on their game, it's going to be 1-6 or 1-5. Sorry. So yeah, it's a real danger game for the Panthers.
Well, Dylan Edwards is back. Let's go to a verdict. Who are we locking in?
Oh, Molly.
I'll go Panthers, which is not a good thing for them.
I can't tip the Dolphins. I'll go the Panthers.
Yeah, lock them in. Lock them in. Now, Friday night footy, Dragons versus Titans. We just alluded to the fact that Tino is suspended. Is that going to be significant enough for the Dragons to just win here? Because we know the Dragons have struggled to put away teams. How do we see this one?
I don't think they had 12 months without Tino last year, so I don't think that's going to be a huge effect. I think the Titans generally don't travel well, and this game's in Wollongong. The Dragons generally play pretty well at Wollongong. I'd expect this to be a really good game. Actually, both teams will be pretty desperate. Dizz will have the Titans up for sure, and Flanagan would have ripped into the Dragons through the week. So I'm going to tip the Dragons just.
Well, I'm going to go the exact opposite way. I think it's going to be a shit game. I think they're two struggling teams that aren't going to make the 8 and that are desperate, and it's just going to be a scrap-a-thon. I'm tipping extra time because I can't find a winner, and maybe a Dragons win with the referee getting them home, the Wollongong factor.
Okay, right. I like it. I love it.
One. Far out. You've got me on the ropes here, lads. I'm going to lock in the Dragons simply because too many Titans players aren't performing. And I think the Dragons are actually performing. They just haven't got the results in those key moments. And it's going to take 1 week for them to, properly click, to go on a little bit of a run. They've been lucky, avoided injuries. Wollongong factor, of course. Lock them in. Lock in the Dragons. Now, do we have to talk about this game too much? Seriously, like
absolutely.
Broncos
of course
versus
we
Roosters. As far as I'm concerned, it's one-way traffic here. Roosters, interestingly, you'll see a bit of surprise in team list today.
Yeah, so no Chad Townsend, Molly, is that right? No Chad Townsend?
Yeah, that's the word, and no Dom Young apparently.
Dom Young gone.
Very interesting. Are they panicking, the Roosters? If I was them, I would be, because I said, and I think plenty of us said at the start of the year, they're really going to struggle. All the players they've lost, and they basically didn't buy anyone apart from Chad, who they're now dropping. So it's a real mess. Injuries haven't helped them, admittedly. They've got guys like Victor Radley, who seems to spend every second week either injured or in the sin bin. So they've got real problems. I can see them staying pretty much where they are for the rest of the season, which is bottom 4.
Yeah, so I've got the Bronx
very un-Rooster-like.
Yeah, you're right. But I've got the Bronx doing just enough to get this done. I don't really think they need to go out there and sort of perform at their best to get this one done. They're a bit light on in the back row this week. Brennan Piakura is obviously out in concussion, hence suspended, and Jordan Ricky's still serving another week. So a bit light on in the back row. So
I have Jaden Hunt and Gazeshki.
Yep, and it'll, could
Wow.
bring an opportunity for Marty Tapa'u and Bentakura potentially onto the bench. So you give some
Yep.
other guys a bit of a go. But yeah, Adam Reynolds will play. It looks like. I think Brisbane will be too strong.
Saturday footy, Sharks versus Seagulls is the first game. Now this one
Ooh.
could be a cracker.
Ooh,
Both teams struggling for consistency.
is this in Perth?
Yeah, these two next games back to back in Perth. So Rabbitohs Cowboys as well in Perth.
Yeah, right.
Great timing with the Perth Bears now not being a club. It's really, really good for the NRL there. But who we got here, guys? So honestly, I'm sort of leaning towards
Flip a coin.
the Sharks only because I don't think the DCE ramifications have fully let itself pan out yet.
So my quick summation on this is if the Sharks don't win this, put a line through them.
Yep, agreed.
Yep. Yeah, agreed. Manly are basically down and out. The DCE thing we've spoken about. Turbo's out yet again. Sharks should win, but if they don't, it's it's early days and it's a long season, but it's one they really need to win just to get some confidence back, basically.
Fast track over there in Perth. I reckon it's going to be a shootout. Something like 32-26, something like that.
It could be high scoring. Yeah, it could absolutely be high scoring. Yep.
Yeah. Now, Rabbitohs Cowboys, another one. This could be a cracker as well. Rumour has it that Latrell Mitchell is going to play in the 6.
How are the Cowboys favourites in this game, according to Sportsbet?
They do have lots of injuries, the Rabbitohs. Like, let's be honest. They've got another 3 players missing.
Yeah, they've got the 3 hamstring guys, don't they?
Oh,
and
true.
And also Lewis Dodd is playing himself out of a rugby league contract at the moment. He got done for a crusher tackle in New South Wales Cup. So he doesn't even get a sniff this weekend. Unfortunate for him. Looks like...
so is Campbell Graham, is he back? Campbell Graham?
Good question. He'll be touch and go.
Because it'll be okay if he's back moving Latrell, but if he's not, they lose a bit of strikeout out wide, I reckon, if Latrell's got to play in the 6.
Well, they don't really have any other halves because Cody Walker's not playing. Jamie Humphries isn't playing. Lewis Dodd's suspended. Yeah, they're in all sorts.
See, I would have moved, me personally, I would have left Latrell at centre and I would have moved Jack White in a 5'8", personally. But
Jack White might be wearing the 7 this week.
Yeah, and he played virtually the whole of last week on the wing, which I thought was crazy. I know they had injuries, but you barely saw him, and he's a quality player, a match winner, but he was just stuck out on the wing and barely touched the ball.
Yep. Yeah. Look, do you know what? I reckon that the Cowboys could really turn it on. Optus Stadium's supposedly a fast track, like I was saying before.
Mm-hmm.
Cowboys love playing bull at a gate. They showed it against Penrith at times. Rabbitohs will want to grind this one out due to the players they've got on the park, but I don't think it will work for them over in Perth. So I'm going to say Cowboys by 20.
Ooh. Old tip.
Yeah.
I think Cowboys will win just.
Yeah, I'll say Cowboys by about 10. If Souths win this, it'll be, quite remarkable. But,
unbelievable.
Yeah, Cowboys, but not easy. I think Souths, any Bennett team always puts up a good fight. They keep their errors to a minimum.
High completion.
Neutral venue. Going to be an interesting game for sure.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, Parramatta versus Raiders to round out Saturday footy.
In Darwin.
Sweatfest. Now,
the Raiders, they're going to be thawing out.
Well, they played the Cowboys a couple of weeks ago, struggled badly.
They must have a lot of home games at the back end of the year, the Raiders, eh? They've barely been at home.
Well, they've gone from Vegas to Sydney. No, not even
Townsville, wasn't it?
Townsville.
Yeah.
Then now they're going to Darwin. They've done a bit of travel. I think they've got the most travel in the comp.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Do you know what? Part of me is leaning a little bit towards the Eels here.
You got rocks in your head.
It's leaning towards I'm going to go and upset.
Here we go. This is why he's
and
seventh
I am gonna
in our tipping comp.
I'm going to lock in the Eels purely on the fact that the Raiders won't be able to handle the heat. So get out of the kitchen.
Yes, we might have a side bet here after the show.
So I take it you boys are going to lock in the Raiders?
Lock the Raiders in. Easiest bet of the week.
Yep, Raiders for me.
All right. Sunday footy. Storm versus the Warriors. Now, funny story here, just quickly. Andrew Johns has come out and said that the Warriors are the Storm's bogey team. Although the last 17 fixtures, the Storm have won.
But a couple of them were tough in Joey's defence.
Yeah, well,
I do reckon the Warriors are better value than what the betting market suggests. But I don't think they'll get up. I struggle to tip anyone but Melbourne when they play at home. So I've got the Storm here fairly comfortably in the end. I think it'll be close for 60, and then they'll run away with it in the last 20.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think if you're looking for a bet, Storm half full double. You know, they should control the game. You know, Bellamy at home, everything points their way. But then the Warriors are probably the most unpredictable team in the league, aren't they? So you just never know what you're going to get with them.
Yeah, coming fresh off a bye as well.
Good point.
What impact that happens. Knights versus Tigers. Honestly, this one could be the game of the round in terms of closeness. I think both sides have a very, very equal chance of winning this game. And
it's got some ramifications in terms of whichever team loses, just loses a little bit of touch with the sort of the top 6 sides, I reckon.
Yeah.
And then going into a difficult period throughout the middle of the year where for both these sides, probably their best players are going to miss through Origin.
Yep.
So you want to try, these are the games, like if both teams are fair income about finals, these are the games that you got to win.
Well, the Knights don't have another bye until round 18.
Yep.
So they're playing footy the whole way through here.
Is Jerome Luai back this week?
Luai is back.
Luai is back. Oh,
it's a 4-point game, isn't it?
I agree.
As you say, it's one they desperately need to win, not so much for the 2 points, but to prevent the other team getting 2 points. So, it's massive for both of them. It's the sort of game I would tip whoever's at home. So, along those lines, go the Knights for me.
Okay, I'm going to go against you here. I'm going to go the Tigers.
Lock in the Tigers for Dicko. Look, Ponga Masterclass here. Ponga Masterclass is coming up. I'm going to say he scores a hat-trick and that the Knights win by 2 points regardless of that hat-trick.
Okay, I like it.
All right, guys. Thanks heaps. Enjoy the footy this weekend. And hopefully we get some more tips right than we have in the past.
Give us a like and follow on NRL Nostradamus on all the socials. And don't forget, if you're not following the Mole, make sure you follow him as well.
Follow Moley on Facebook.